Hi, good evening. This is the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners, St. Charles Parish Housing Authority. Today is Tuesday, August 27th. The time is now 6 p.m. I call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, at this time we open for public comment for our agenda items. Seeing no one present for public comment, next agenda item is to review and approve this evening's agenda. Any board discussion? Should be there. All right, Mr. Woods?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just make a motion. I know that we have an executive session scheduled for this evening, and I was hoping that we could just move approving our resolutions on the agenda until, or disapproving, however it goes, but dealing with our resolution until after the executive session.
All right, so you're making a motion to amend?
To amend the agenda that we just change the order and do the resolution after our executive session.
All right, do we have, Mr. Woods has made a motion to amend the agenda to move resolutions till after executive session. Do we have a second?
So you still have to hit the microphone button. Sorry, yeah.
Oh, saying to do the vote, we do one.
So I need to get with Michelle on how to do things. Okay. Yeah, that's the only thing I do.
All right, Ms. Jackson.
I second the motion.
All right, Ms. Jackson, second. Any discussion or debate? All right, seeing none, cast your vote. Are we voting on?
Just 5 voices.
5 voices.
Yeah.
We're voting by voice. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that carries.
You know how to plug it out of the speaker?
It should pop up on the, for some reason it's not popping up on the tablet.
Yeah, you can clear it from there.
All right.
All right. All right, our following agenda item is review and approval of annual 5-year plan, 2024-2028 capital fund plan, public hearing minutes from July 10th, 2024. Any discussion? Mr. Woods.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the minutes of the annual 5-year plan and 2024 to 28 capital fund plan public hearing meeting minutes.
All right, Mr. Woods has moved to accept the annual 5-year plan 2024 capital fund plan public hearing minutes from July 10th meeting. We have a second by Commissioner Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That carries. All right. Review and approval of special board meeting minutes from July 23rd, 2024. Any board discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to pass a motion to approve the minutes from the special board meeting that took place on Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024.
All right, we have a motion made by Commissioner Bailey to approve special board meeting minutes from July 23rd. Do we have a second? Mr. Woods?
I second it.
Okay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That carries.
Okay.
And review and acceptance of financial reporting 2023, MD&A report from HSA, and the unaudited submission from HSA. Board discussion.
I have a very general question.
Good question.
Mr. Woods.
And this is just out there. I don't know what's in your mind or what did you grasp from. What is the question to you, Mrs. Jedediah? Just from your browsing through this, what did you skim from this particular report and learn, or just what were your thoughts on that?
And thank you for that question, Commissioner Wood. So from this report, which is a standard management and discussion and analysis for a fiscal year, this is kind of standard in terms of how they track or research the assets and liabilities for the agency, making sure that our net position was positive for the fiscal year, and also just noting any things that were kind of unusual. Like, I think one of the notes that they made is that we spent $848,849 on capital additions, which is more than the previous fiscal year. So this is just a standard report in terms of the unaudited finances from HSA.
But overall, our net position increased, right?
Yes.
2022 to 2023.
It did.
So 2023 was a better year. Is there anything else that they outlined that we exceeded more than normal?
In terms of the changes overall, the increase in total assets was $365,188, and there was a decrease in total liabilities to $164,553, and that we continue to operate without the need for debt borrowing.
Go ahead, Mr. Woods.
It was just, because I did get to read through it, but not every word, but it was interesting to see some things where they talked about how some of our administrative costs went up, utilities decreased, so there was several different things happening, I guess, during the course of the year that was noted. So this is from HSA. This is just saying tentatively, this is what we find.
Correct.
At some point, they're going to get to us their final audit.
And that is actually in your packet. That's the next document, the file submission.
That's the FDS.
Yes, the FDS 2023 unaudited submission.
Here we go.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Woods?
Okay, on that one, even have a couple of questions even on moving to that new document.
Sure.
Just, and I'm not an accountant, but I see that each item in here is like, I'll say is a sign, I'll call it a number, an account number. So somewhere there will be a general ledger that you can go to that specific number and see the details of what the expense or revenue is or was.
Are you requesting an internal control general ledger?
I know there was a time. I have a specific question. On page 6 of that document, same document that we're talking about, same document. Page 6. When it says building purchases, I guess that was last year. My mind just thinks of it as $907,000. Am I on
I don't, which page are you referring to?
the same document, page,
Are you, so we're moving on to the unaudited submission? That's what you're asking questions about?
You on the balance sheet summary, or which page?
We're FDS
yes,
page 6, correct?
correct, yes, yes, Mr. Chairman.
So you're asking the question about the buildings total?
I guess I'm just was curious. I just saw that in there, the building purchases. I'm looking at $907,000. Yeah, $907,000. I'm thinking, what did we?
Mr. Woods, you want to turn your mic on?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Same document. I know I'm on page 6. So you see, I'm not
Yeah,
somewhere.
okay, buildings, I got you, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm just, I guess I'm just curious. I just saw that where it said 907,000 building purchases, and I'm like, okay, what was that about? But I know in the past, I could look at that number, and that was a general ledger that was given to us, and that number would have the details of what those building purchases was. So I'm just a curiosity.
I think this question is, can you get a breakdown?
Sure, yes.
Internal breakdown of what those expenses were that added up to the 900,000.
We can get that to you.
Yeah, just
All right, any additional discussion regarding MD&A and FDS?
Is there one more? Is
Go-
there an
go ahead, Mr. Woods.
expected time frame when we will be clear of HSA? That they will have done all that they owe us and we move to the next
So
accountant?
we're currently clear of HSA. However, they are still being asked questions for our audited statement.
Yeah, okay.
So the independent auditor, Mr. Estes, is still working with them.
Them too.
And Paul is working with them as well, and they have been responsive.
Yeah, okay, all right.
But it's just to clean up or to request
Yes.
further information.
Gotcha, all right.
The current fee accountant has everything he needs to get us up to speed, right?
We're still working to get that to them.
Still working on it,
Yes.
so.
Last I checked, we had, I believe, the beginning of this year, we got them everything for 2023, but we have the beginning of this year to get them for our low rent side.
Okay, and as far as the development partners, are we satisfied with they need to go forward with the tax credit syndication yet?
That has not been done yet because they need a full picture of the finances. So we would need to be all the way caught up. We do have a conference call scheduled the first week of September with them and HUD. So hopefully by that time, we'll be able to get that reconciliation to 76. I'm not sure yet when they'll be able to provide the updated financial, hopefully by next board meeting, but that's kind of where we are. We're almost to where we can be caught up with our fee account.
We're in the right direction.
Yes, we are.
Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion from the board to accept those reports into the record?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to pass a motion to accept the 2023 MD&A report from HSA and the 2023 FDS unaudited submission from HSA.
All right, we have a motion made by Commissioner Bailey to accept the 2023 MD&A report and the 2023 FDS. Do we have a second?
Yes, I second the motion.
All right, Ms. Jackson has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that carries. Mr. Jackson, you have a director's report this evening?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that this is recorded. Good evening, Commissioners. Again, thank you for your time and attendance at our August meeting. I want to give you an update really quickly on our financials. You do have in your board packets bank statements and also the two previous financial reports that you have moved on and accepted. We do, as I stated earlier, intend on having a up-to-date financial report no later than the November meeting, hopefully for the September or October meetings, but no later than the November meeting. It really is just going to depend on how long it takes 76 to get caught up. So I want to make sure everybody's aware of that. And that is also to ensure that we have our unaudited statement submitted to HUD no later than November the 30th, which is the 2-month window after the end of the fiscal year that you're required to submit that. All right. So we'll go through the low rent report. As of the end of July, again, we have 129 total low rent units. Of those 129, 48 are leased up. We currently have 70 mod units. We did have 3 move-ins to our boutique property over the month of July. And the mod units consist of the units at Hanville and also the units at Des Allemands and 7 units at the boutique property. We still are working to get the remaining vacant units leased up. And there were a total of 20 mail-out letters sent out in the month of June, and a total rent collection of $7,656. We sent out 10 letters for 1-bedroom units and 10 letters for 2-bedroom units, and the maintenance team has successfully cleared out 56 work orders in the month of July. A lot of that was some past work orders, but it was also a number of the work orders that we created post our pre-inspection for the Inspire inspection audit. Does anyone have any questions on the low rent report?
Are we a little ways that Inspire, there we go, that Inspire inspection that we had in that time, we're a little bit into working some of those deficiencies off or clearing out the list? Or?
Yes, and I do have a part of my report that will go into the details of that. But to let you know, as of right now, of the low, moderate, or severe or life-threatening deficiencies that we attained, we only have 3 more to clear. And those 2 have to deal with, 2 of them have to deal with pest control, and 1 of them has to deal with the replacement of a fencing panel. But all of the emergency and, the life-threatening and severe have been cleared. The 1 low has been cleared, and only 3 of the moderate have left to be done. But I'll definitely provide you all with an update later into this report.
Commissioner Bailey?
Did we ever fix that technical issue with HUD with the mod units?
I was unaware of a technical issue with the mod units, but
Are you talking about the units that didn't get placed in the mod after the storm?
Yeah, did we ever, I know previously when I asked about it, I said there was some kind of technical issue to get some units on mod.
I think it was a procedural issue. Ms. Prevost, that's been cleared?
Do we have an estimate on a figure that we get for those units? Because I know in the report, we have the rent collected, total rent collected for July for the occupied units, right?
right.
Do we have an estimate on, or can we get an estimate on how much they pay us for the ones in mine?
Sure, I can do that. I can get that to you.
Mr. Woods, yeah.
Yeah, just to continue somewhat on that, and good thought, that's where my brain was. So that we have those units in modernization, meaning we're trying to upgrade them and all of that, and we're collecting some funds from HUD for those. Is there a time frame that we have to do that modernization with HUD, or is that still tied up with our conversion plan? Or, I mean, at some point, does HUD say, here's a time frame, I guess, and are we aware, or what is it, or something?
if we didn't have a conversion application pending, and I know Yolanda may want to chime in on this, but if we didn't have a conversion application pending, there is a clock that runs on putting units into mod, and you have so long to get them back active and online. With us being currently with a pending application, we have an allowance. Am I correct in saying that?
Oh, that's going under the conversion.
Yes.
Okay,
So we don't have a running clock right now.
okay, all right.
If we
then
weren't, if we
that's-
didn't have a pending application, we would have a running clock.
Okay, good, that's what I was trying to get clear. All right, thank you.
All right, Mr. Brouillet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Did you, Mr. Jackson, did you bring a copy of the checklist today for us, for the units, the inspection checklist?
I did not, but I will definitely get that to you all, an updated one. I did send the email, I think afterwards, after the last meeting, but I'll definitely get you an updated
Okay.
copy for
All
sure.
right, thank you.
Yes.
That's all right.
All right, any further discussion? All right, Mr. Jackson?
So next up, we'll have our HCVP general activity as of July 30th, 2024. Currently, we have 12 port-outs searching for housing through a number of different housing authorities, and we are currently leasing up or paying for 6 port-outs from St. John, Kenner, Wichita, and 1 from Texas. We currently have 13 port-ins that are leased up that we are billing for, and port-ins searching for housing are 3. We have effective July 31st EOP 3 voucher participants, and we did receive payments in the amount of $268,049.80, $254,621 in HAP payments, $15,605 in incoming portable payments, $201.44 in administrative fees, with $2,579.08 outgoing. Currently, we have 15 in-house searching residents, voucher holders rather, and we do have 3 lease-ups. And we also included the VMS report for your review in your board packet. To provide an update in terms of the Inspire inspection, of the 48 units that were eligible for inspection, the Inspire inspector requested 20 units, and also the rent rolls as well as the lead indications for their lease. An agency typically, has a mandate of 24 hours to address life-threatening and severe deficiencies, 30 days to address and repair moderate deficiencies, and 60 days to address and repair low deficiencies. 13 units were inspected on the 7th of August, and 7 units were inspected on the 8th of August. In total, 40 deficiencies were noted by the Inspire inspector throughout the 20-unit sample. Of the 40, 11 were either life-threatening or severe. Within the prescribed 24-hour time frame, all of the 11 of the life-threatening and severe deficiencies were mitigated, and evidence of that mitigation was sent to HUD for review. Of the remaining 29 deficiencies, either rated moderate or low, 21 have been completed. Submission to HUD of the mitigation is pending that number should be 26. And that mitigation is pending prior to the close of the 30-day mitigation window. And the final 3 are pending completion due to the need for, like I said, having a pest control vendor come out to address 2 of them, and to have a vendor selected for a portion of our fencing that was noted as a potential health and safety issue. So we will let, of course, the board know when we've submitted all of the mitigating evidence and when HUD notifies us of our final score. We have been notified via the Inspire system that our preliminary score is a 77, which is a C letter grade or a passing grade. So that is definitely good news. Again, I want to say with caution, it is currently under review by HUD. Normally, any changes are made if there's an appeal. Because we have a preliminary passing grade, you don't have the right to appeal. You basically are stuck with what you got, even though we could have appealed 1 or 2 of them. But I want to thank the staff and the team and the board for working to, even before me getting here, primarily, the majority of the work was done to position the agency to have a very much improved and positive physical inspection through the Inspire system.
Okay, Ms. DeBruya, you had a question?
No.
Okay. Mr. Woods?
Yes. On back to your report, when you're talking about the end of participation, there were 3 of them. Was that for good reasons? By that I mean sometimes people leave us and get homes, and they leave us for other reasons, kind of.
I could find out. I don't know for sure why the ELPs occurred, but
yeah.
you have,
Okay.
Usually when we say end of participation, either the person no longer wants to be on the program, they're making too much money, or they happed out, or they went somewhere, it was a port out, and we were paying for them, and the other agency end up absorbing them. So we do an end of participation for them.
Oh, okay.
and to add to that, sometimes they are non-responsive when we request for certification documents. I'm not saying either any of the 3 were, but that could also be a contributing factor to having an EOP.
Okay. I was just curious as to what, and I was hoping it was because there were 3 of them found homes.
Hopefully, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hey, any
All right.
additional questions for Mr. Jackson?
And I do have a couple more things.
Mr. Bailey?
Now, Rodney mentioned, saying that made me think about the 15 people that are searching. How are we doing with landlords in the parish?
So we are actually in the process of getting on the schedule a landlord webinar. We're going to hopefully do that quarterly. Tentatively, it's scheduled for November the 13th. We are going to work with our internal staff. Charles Taylor, who is also on our maintenance team, currently does inspections of HCV properties. And so we're going to have him on to talk about what happens during an inspection, what to prepare for, what to make sure is included. And this is not only a webinar process for the landlords, but also we're going to do one for the tenants a week earlier. So we're also going to reach out to Southeast Louisiana Legal Services and Ms. Hannah Adams, who at my former employer, Hanno, would participate in webinars like this to provide information to tenants and landlords on their rights and responsibilities as tenants and landlords, to make sure that they're informed, and also have Cindy, who is our HCV housing specialist, make a presentation on the recertification process and everything that's necessary and required. Now, I do know that prior to me coming on, there was a mailbox, our info@scphousingauthority.com mailbox, where we were actually receiving requests from prospective landlords. Unfortunately, I don't think anybody was monitoring that, but we have started monitoring it, and we're starting to respond to see what can be done to increase our landlord population, which would ease the burden on our tenants.
Yeah, and I think also, I know we had it at one point, but providing all the documents to be taken offline to be filled out, and maybe give them a way to maybe upload their documents online as well.
Sure.
Or at least, email to whoever is over that department, because, at Hanno, I have all the documents, but just send it to Wendy, so whoever the liaison.
Right,
is,
liaison would be.
Just way to make it easy. I mean, mailboxes is, I don't know what year they had a mailbox, but I mean, basically, the mailbox is, it's kind of old school.
Gotcha.
They call and they email us.
Okay.
Turn your mic on.
So you do,
We are getting more landlords. But just like we're getting more landlords, we're getting more people in. We can't make a list of all the houses we have available, because as soon as they call us, we calling somebody, we got a house. So, but every day we have landlords calling, getting on the program.
So basically, every time we get a new landlord on a program, we have somebody that,
Have
so we
somebody
it's like a
waiting for
real,
the house,
okay.
yes.
I mean, that's a good thing, though. That's,
yeah.
And what I'll do is I'll ask our staff to include, as a part of the report, month-to-month new landlords that come on to the program, just so the board is aware.
yeah, and I think the landlord meeting would help answer a lot of the questions or concerns that they have about HCVP, holders.
Yes. And we're gonna facilitate that meeting through our Teams app. And we were told by IT today that we have the ability to have about 1,000 participants on, whether it be video chat or actual call-in. So hopefully we'll be able to, that'll go off without a hitch on the first go-around, but we'll make sure, again, like I said, to ensure that our landlord and our tenant population are informed as they can be, and folks can start communicating, a lot of good things about doing business with the agency. So, is there any more questions as it relates to those previously stated items?
Yeah, no, sir.
Like I mentioned earlier, I did include the financial report. The transition to 76 Strategies has begun in earnest. We're still in the process of providing them with information from the beginning of this fiscal year, rather through January of this calendar year, currently trying to get caught up through July. We were visited by Mr. Estes, whose firm is in the process of completing the independent audit submission for the 22-23 year, and that's in process of being finalized. Based on action, not from our last special meeting, but from the regular board meeting that we had on the 23rd, the Capital Fund Action Plan for 2024 to 2028 was approved, and the budget has been set up in locks. And the 2024 annual 5-year plan was approved by HUD as well. There was an issue that we noted during the submission process. We have been notified that we are a troubled agency. However, the HUD system indicated that we were a qualified agency, so we did submit the civil rights certification, which was the only document that was required. But we did also attach the entire packet of information from the certification from the parish president, as well as the actual plan document and any of the documentation to attribute that we did have an open and transparent process for public hearings, as well as the plan being made available. The budget for the October 1 for the FY24 fiscal year will be provided for consideration and approval at the September 24th board meeting, and we will be working with 76 Strategies between now and then to prepare. We will get that, of course, to the board members in advance of the board meeting for your review in your board packet. And this does conclude my report for the meeting, and didn't know if anyone had any questions.
Mr. Jackson, the 76 Strategies, that's the new firm that we've contracted with. Thus far, I mean, I know they have a lot of catch up with the previous firm and everything. Thus far, though, they seem to be on the ball and communicating well. And
very much so. We did have a meeting with HUD a couple of weeks ago where they were not scheduled to be on the call, but they were asked to be on the call, and they dropped everything that they were doing, one of their team members, and hopped on the call. So just in terms of responsiveness, I've not seen any issues thus far, and they've actually set up a new process. Previously, there was a Dropbox that we put our information in. Now they've transitioned it to a OneDrive. So they're actually on the Microsoft infrastructure, if you will. So that is actually going to be easier for us to get information submitted, because we have our platform is set up on the OneDrive SharePoint platform for Microsoft.
All right, great. Any additional questions from Mr. Jackson?
Just
Mr. Woods?
for clarity, so if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying that right now you and the fee accountant are communicating, and how are you getting information to them? And I'm specifically thinking finances, so that financial reports will begin to be timely. So whatever format that is, you're telling me that as I sign these things and see the paperwork, there's a way or a system you have in place that you're communicating that information to them.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Good deal. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All right. If there's no objection, Parish President Matt Jewell is here this evening, and if there's no objections from the board, I'd like to give him an opportunity to address the board if you'd like.
Absolutely. God, you were thinking about something else.
Well, I just want to say thanks for having me. It's not often that I get to attend the board meetings for the Housing Authority, but it's incredibly important, the work that you all do. You know, this week we're coming up on the 3rd year anniversary of Hurricane Ida, a storm that really devastated this area in our region. And one of the most important things and one of the biggest things that was devastated was our housing stock in the parish. And as you know, we had a lot of damage to the units owned by the Housing Authority, and there were a lot of there was a lot of damage to units that were under USDA grants for low-income housing. There was one on Keller Street. You had Lancelot Apartments, and 2 of them, I believe, in St. Rose. That's just those USDA properties accounted for about 175 units that have been misplaced. Now, we have seen a lot of progress in units that were destroyed that have come back, but it just shows us the importance of making sure that we have places for people to live of all social, economic status within the parish. So I just come to encourage you to say, keep doing what you're doing. I think this conversion, whenever we can get it finally complete,
Yes,
is going to be a good thing. And look, I know we've been talking about the conversion for some time now, and we've had a lot of hiccups along the way. We've had COVID, we've had Ida, we've had all of the other things that have come with it, and I know that you all are still working to do that, but I just say thank you for continuing to work on that, and if we can get that done, I think that's going to significantly help our parish get our residents back into a permanent situation. You know, we hear stories all the time about residents who are, you know, living with a family member, or them and their child living out of a car maybe sometimes. And, you know, we work with United Way and other organizations to try to find places for those people. But I think about our kids in the parish who maybe don't have a stable home to come home to after work, you know, after school. I think about our residents who don't have a stable place to stay and trying to keep on schedule, getting to and from work. And so I just want to stress the importance of the work that you all do, and hopefully we can take whatever stock that we have and that belongs to the Housing Authority, make that improvement, and really be a model for the rest of the state. Just thanks for everything y'all do.
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you for your
Thank you, sir.
support.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Not used to from that side, huh?
All right, well, at this time, so we did have the motion in the beginning of the meeting to amend our agenda. Do we have a motion from the board to go into executive session? Mr. Woods.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we move into executive session to discuss personnel and financials.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Woods to discuss personnel and financials in executive session, and that is seconded by Commissioner Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that carries. Time is 6:38, and we now move into executive session. All right. Board, do we have a motion from the board? Mr. Woods?
Mr. Chair, I move that we end our executive session and return to a regular order.
All right, that's seconded by Commissioner Bailey. All in favor? Aye. All right, that carries. The time is now 8:37. We resume the regular meeting. We have resolutions before the board this evening to consider. And let's see. First one is 24-08-2701, approving and adopting a resolution for the second amendment of Circular Consulting LLC's contract change order number 1 with St. Charles Parish Housing Authority. Authority is public housing agency established pursuant to Louisiana law. Mission is to promote adequate and affordable housing, economic opportunity, and a living environment free from discrimination. Committed to the authority's mission, the staff is continuously working to improve services, strengthen operations, and implement sound policy. The authority and its board of commissioners entered into a contract with Circular Consulting LLC on August 11th, 2023 for 1 year to provide support for tasks as specified in the agreement in order to assist St. Charles Parish Housing Authority with addressing areas of concern indicated by the HUD CMAP and FAST monitoring reviews for a cost not to exceed $75,000. These tasks were all-encompassing in nature, touching every area of the agency to address items in the corrective action plan and recovery plan as prescribed by HUD, and due to the nature of the corrective action task and the length of time needed to adequately address the work task, St. Charles Parish Housing Authority directed Circular to complete work that exceeded their initial contract cap and time period. Circular's contract was extended via Amendment Number 1 for convenience and time on August 2nd, 2024 to end on February 11th, 2025. As increasing the contract cap requires board approval, we are requesting an increase from the board to cover already expensed and invoiced costs and additional $107,988.50 in future projected expenses per the revised work plan that is in line with original scope work, $22,850, to bring authorized contract cap from $75,000 to $205,838.50. Approval and adoption of this resolution by the Board of Commissioners is required to increase the contract cap with Circular Consulting and allow for a final work plan in line with the scope of work for original contract. Staff recommends board approval and adoption of the proposed resolution, providing for a second amendment of Circular Consulting LLC's contract change order number 1. Board discussion. Mr. Woods.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we defer action on this particular resolution until our next meeting, just to allow for acquiring more information and possible amendments.
All right, Mr. Woods, are you asking for a motion to table it until the next meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Woods to table this agenda item. Do we have a second? Ms. Jackson?
I second the motion.
All right, the motion's been seconded by Ms. Jackson. Any further board discussion or debate? Seeing none, how do you vote? Yay? Nay?
Aye.
Yeah.
All right, that passes. Let's see. All right, that agenda item is tabled for the next meeting. Next agenda item, 2408-2702, approving and adopting a resolution to advertise an RFP to select a qualified and responsive vendor to secure the windows and doors of the units at the Hanville property. So that is, let's see. All right, let's see. The authority and its Board of Commissioners from time to time, as directed by its procurement policy, must advertise a request for proposals or RFP for qualified and responsive vendors to complete work on behalf of the authority. While the Hanville property is a dormant site that was previously secured, and any remediation or renovation is currently on hold pending the authority's conversion application, paths of egress into the units at the property have become unsecure. To abide by code enforcement ordinance of St. Charles Parish, work must be done to resecure the site. The authority solicited quotes from vendors to complete the work, but all the quotes came back beyond the authority's small purchase threshold. The authority's procurement policy now dictates to let an advertisement for an RFP for qualified and responsive vendors to secure the doors and windows of the unit at the Hanville property. Approval and adoption of the resolution by the Board of Commissioners is required for the authority to advertise an RFP to select qualified and responsive vendors. Staff recommends board approval and adoption of the proposed resolution to advertise an RFP to select a qualified and responsive vendor to secure the Hanville property. Board discussion. Mr. Woods.
Mr. Chairman, just to keep our properties in safe conditions and to follow the code enforcement ordinance of the parish, I move to approve said ordinance. I'm sorry,
Said resolution.
resolution. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Woods. We have a motion made by Commissioner Woods to approve 2408-2702. That's seconded by Commissioner Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that carries. I guess I need to read that in its whole, huh?
Yeah.
All right, Resolution 2408-2702, a resolution of the St. Charles Parish Housing Authority Board of Commissioners approving and adopting resolution to advertise an RFP to select a qualified and responsive vendor to secure the windows and doors of the units at the Hanville property. The undersigned, being the duly elected Secretary of St. Charles Parish Housing Authority, hereby certifies that by written consent, the following resolution was duly adopted. Whereas St. Charles Parish Housing Authority is a public housing agency established pursuant to Louisiana law, whereas the mission of the authority is to promote adequate and affordable housing, economic opportunity, and a suitable living environment free from discrimination, and whereas the authority must from time to time let an advertisement of request for proposal or RFP to select a qualified and responsive vendor to complete work on behalf of the authority, and whereas the authority, in line with its procurement policy, authorizes the executive director or other designee to let the advertisement of an RFP to allow the Board of Commissioners to select qualified and responsive vendor to secure the doors and windows of the units at the Hanville property located at 200 Sunset Court, Hanville, Louisiana, 70057. Now therefore be it resolved that the proposed resolution to advertise an RFP to select a qualified and responsive vendor to secure the windows and doors of the units at the Hanville property is hereby approved and adopted for implementation. All right. Following agenda item is 2408-2703, approving and adopting a resolution to advertise an RFP to select a qualified and responsive vendor to renovate a unit at the Boutique property that was damaged by fire. Excuse me. The authority and its Board of Commissioners from time to time, as dictated by its procurement policy, must advertise a request for proposal or RFP for qualified and responsive vendors to complete work on behalf of the authority after a fire that occurred at the Boutique property. The authority solicited quotes from vendors to complete the renovation work, but all the quotes came back beyond the authority's small purchase threshold. The authority's procurement policy now dictates to let an advertisement for an RFP to select qualified and responsive vendor to renovate the unit at the Boutique property that was damaged by fire. Approval and adoption of this resolution by the Board of Commissioners is required for the authority to advertise for an RFP and to select qualified and responsive vendors. The staff does recommend board approval and adoption of this resolution by way of the attached. Board discussion. Commissioner Bailey.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to pass a motion to approve Resolution 2408-27-03.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Jackson has seconded. Any board discussion or debate? All right, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Resolution 2408-2703, resolution of the St. Charles Parish Housing Authority Board of Commissioners approving and adopting resolution to advertise RFP to select a qualified and responsive vendor to renovate a unit by the Boutique property that was damaged by fire. Whereas the authority must from time to time let an advertisement or request for proposals or RFP to select a qualified and responsive vendor to complete work on behalf of the authority, and whereas the authority, in line with its procurement policy, authorizes the executive director or their designee to let an advertisement of an RFP to allow the Board of Commissioners to select a qualified and responsive vendor to renovate a unit at the Booty property, 200 Booty Estates Drive, Booty, Louisiana, 70039, Unit 264, that was damaged by fire. Now therefore be it resolved that the proposed resolution to advertise an RFP to select a qualified and responsive vendor to renovate a unit at the Booty property that was damaged by fire is hereby approved and adopted for implementation.
That was the fencing.
Huh?
Or maybe the fencing one. We did the fire one already.
This was the fire one that we just did.
I think the fence one is next.
03's.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
fire.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. All right. The authority and its Board of Commissioners from time to time is directed by its procurement policy, approval and adoption of resolution for 2408-2704 to select a qualified responsive vendor to repair, replace selections of exterior fencing at the Booty property. The authority and its Board of Commissioners from time to time, as dedicated by its procurement policy, must advertise a request for proposal or RFP for qualified and responsive vendors to complete work on behalf of the authority. Sections of the exterior fencing at Booty property have become damaged over time, need to be repaired or replaced. The authority solicited quotes from vendors to complete repair replacement work, but all the quotes came back beyond authority's small purchase threshold. The authority's procurement policy now dictates to let an advertisement for an RFP to select a qualified and responsive vendor to repair or replace sections of the exterior fencing at the Booty property. Approval and adoption of this resolution by the Board of Commissioners is required for the authority to advertise an RFP to select qualified and responsive vendors. Staff recommends board approval and adoption of proposed resolution, providing to advertising an RFP to select a qualified and responsive vendor to repair, replace sections of the exterior fencing at Booty property. Any board discussion? Mr. Woods.
Ready for a motion?
Sure.
No discussion. Mr. Chair, I move to approve resolution 24-08-27-04, approving and adopting resolution to select a qualified and responsive vendor to repair, replace sections of the exterior fencing at the Booty property.
All right, Commissioner Woods has made a motion to approve resolution 2408-2704 as written, and that is seconded by Commissioner Bailey. Is there any discussion or debate? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. That motion carries. That approves resolution 2408-2704. A resolution of the St. Charles Parish Housing Authority Board of Commissioners approving and adopting resolution to select a qualified and responsive vendor to repair, replace sections of the exterior fencing at the Booty property. Whereas the St. Charles Parish Housing Authority is a public housing agency established pursuant to Louisiana law, and whereas the mission of the authority is to promote adequate and affordable housing, economic opportunity, suitable living environment free from discrimination, whereas the authority must from time to time let an advertisement of a request for proposal or RFP to select qualified and responsive vendor to complete work on behalf of the authority, and whereas the authority, in line with procurement policy, authorizes executive director or their designee to let an advertisement of an RFP to allow the Board of Commissioners to select a qualified and responsive vendor to repair, replace sections of exterior fencing at Booty property, 200 Booty Estates Drive, Booty, Louisiana, 70039. Now therefore be it resolved that the proposed resolution to advertise an RFP to select a qualified and responsive vendor to repair, replace sections of the exterior fencing at the Booty property. All right. Corrective action plan update, recovery plan update.
Thank you, Commissioner Jay. As stated at the last meeting, the Housing Authority has completed its corrective action plan items. We are working to use those operation action plan areas to self-audit to ensure that we are maintaining our intention to continue compliance with HUD regulations. We will also be submitting another recovery plan report to HUD on September the 29th, 2024, as required by a recovery plan agreement, where we will be able to show our status with respect to our low rent occupancy rate, the improvement of the physical condition of dwelling units, and improvement in our financial performance and the status of our conversion. And that concludes my update on corrective action plan and recovery plan updates. Does anyone have any questions?
All right. Any other matters before the board?
Mr. Chair, there was a part of the minutes that I don't believe a vote was taken on. It was the review and approval of the special board meeting minutes. Because we do have two recorded motions and seconds and votes on the first two, but not the actual last minutes.
Okay, I do remember reading them into the record.
Okay,
Voted on that one.
you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and just maybe make a motion again, just to be,
Just to approve those special meetings?
yeah, the special board meeting, yes,
When was it?
23rd,
23rd?
yes.
Mr. Woods?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes of the special board meetings of July 23rd, 2024.
All right, Mr. Woods has moved to approve the minutes from the special meeting. Commissioner Bailey has seconded. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That carries.
Thank you. Just want to make sure that was recorded.
Any other matters before the board this evening?
I just want to make this, just throw this out there, just quick thing. Just thinking today, just kind of maybe sometime in the future, we might do, and I'm just calling it a board day at the Housing Authority, where we just get together, go through, see what's out there, meet some of the residents that live there, and just kind of see some things firsthand for ourselves, sometime in the future. I'm just going to ask the question, the website update. I know I've been asking, and whenever you can, do that. What is our MENOR? Not looking for an answer tonight, but what is our MENOR score and
Sorry, our MENOR score?
Mina,
the monthly expendable?
net,
Basically, it tells you how much funds you have on hand to last you how many months.
I don't have that information on me, but I will find out.
Yeah, yeah. And,
Okay.
And the one about the auditor, but I'll ask something about that later. So just a couple ideas just for out there, but the website, I go and I look and I say, okay, still, but.
So I did get access to the WordPress portion of our website, which is the back end, and I have already begun to make some edits. Overall, I'll probably be reaching out to the board members to get updated pictures for your portion, but cleaning it up, I'm going to be going through that
Yeah, gotcha.
as I can. I will say, I will have a conversation with the vendor that we currently use to manage that, to see what can be done to limit the relationship to SEO, which is search engine optimization, and also making sure that there aren't any technical issues. If they can just worry about the technical, and we'll worry about the content part.
With that, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
all right. Mr. Brouillet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say, on behalf of the commission, I think I can speak for everyone. Thank you to Mr. Jackson for an amazing job that you've done in the last 2 months. The research, the digging deep, getting answers, and remaining positive and futuristic. We're very proud to have you on board, and we know you're going to, well, you already have guided us in the right direction. So we have a lot of confidence in you, and you've done a great job so far, and we anticipate great things ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that.
You know,
All right, thank you, thank you.
And thank you for
Mr.
your
Brouillet.
support.
Any additional comments or questions? At this time, we open for public comment. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair, I move that we adjourn.
Hey, we have a motion by Commissioner Woods, second by Ms. Jackson. All in favor?
Aye.
That carries. The time is now 8:57. We are adjourned.